Good morning, guys. Regarding our patriot Tommy Robinson, who's been thrown in jail for daring to speak about the grooming gangs. I don't think I have to mention who does 90% of grooming offences, who are 90% of those convicted and put in jail. I think we already know, don't we? Yes, they're from a variety of backgrounds, it says. Yeah, well, there's one common factor with all of them, because in the ideology these guys follow, which I don't think I have to name, I don't think I can name, because the video will be took off if I dare to say what ideology these people follow. It's an ancient Middle Eastern one, which encourages them to thieve, attack, loot, steal the houses of, steal the businesses of non-members of this ideology. You'll be shocked. It's not a lot to do with peace, that's for sure. Yeah, as we see, it was all people that followed one ideology, but were from a large variety of backgrounds. They weren't all Pakistani. They were, hang on, let's have a list here. They were Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Indian, Iranian, Iraqi, Kurdish, Turkish, Albanian, and Eastern European. But I can guarantee that a large number of these, nearly all of them, followed one certain 7th century ideology. I think we all know what we're talking about. And it clearly states in here, in this article in the Telegraph, that they bent over backwards to let these guys off. In some cases, the victims of the gangs were placed in secure accommodation, while the perpetrators were left to run rampant and just carry on working, carry on grooming, and look for new victims. While the offenders were seen to be innocent and went unpunished. How can they be innocent? This has been going on for 25 years. I saw this going on 25 years ago, 24, 25 years ago. You know, when I was a relatively young man. I'm middle-aged now. As you see, it just stinks to cover up. Basically, as long as the county councillors and the doctors and the teachers are still driving around in their Audis and the Range Rovers, and they're still getting their, in the police cases, they're still getting their 55, 60 grand a year, most of it untaxed, because it's counted as housing allowance. As long as the doctors are still getting their 100 grand a year, as long as the local county councillors are on their 120 grand a year, basically they don't give their monkeys about the poor people. Because, as we know from hundreds of grooming cases, it's primarily poor, what we call council house people, chav girls whose parents are on, just who haven't got careers, who do ordinary jobs, or on sickness benefits, or unemployed, and obviously, these are low-class people. You know, they're not as good as me and my CID career job, but not as high status as me working for the CPS on £200,000 a year. So let's not blame the real perpetrators, because that could be bad for my career. Let's blame the poor people. Let's blame the girls. And this is exactly what it did here, what they did here. The report ignored the payments of £10,000 by Northumbria police to a convicted rapist of this ideology as an informant. But, you know, at the end of the day, it got a lot of results. They had to have 3 different trials, you know, to do these people. But at the end of the day, unlike Rotherham, where 1,500 girls were abused and only 4 men actually went to jail, you know, I say 1,500, it'll be a lot more than that. I did a video on that earlier on. It was felt there was a lack of professional curiosity, thinking beyond the present issue, and into the actual harm the victims were experiencing. Well, they don't really care, do they? Because they're classist, what they call classist. These are, you know what racism is? Looking down on someone, belittling them due to their racial background. Well, this is classism. This is where you look down, Google it. This is where you look down on a person of lower income or lower social status. And USA and UK is riddled with classism. You can tell from the videos where all these people from Washington and New England and people from privileged American backgrounds always look down on anyone that hasn't been to university or hasn't got oodles of money in the bank. So there you go. Newcastle grooming gangs allowed to abuse 700 girls because police blame the victims. And you can, if you put in Newcastle grooming gangs, there's some 3 or 4 articles on here, one by the Independent, but This just goes to show that what Tommy Robinson and Jada Franson have been trying to tell us, that the police and the media and the shallow BBC and CNN fake news are still covering up. It's still going on. And this is part, for foreigners, this is mainly why over half of the UK voted for Brexit. Why I voted for Brexit, because Angela Merkel and the corrupt anti-democratic EU were going to, they've already got a list arranged how many migrants are going to be accepted by which country. They were going to tell us to take about, whatever, 800,000 more of these people. And their ideology isn't anything to do with peace. It's about, for 1450 years, this certain ideology which all these characters will follow, possibly not this gay-looking girl, but all the rest of them, promotes theft of the dirty kuffar. Who are the dirty kuffar? Well, kuffar is plural for kafir, and kafir is a similar word to kafir, isn't it? It even sounds the same. What was used in South Africa, and we all know what kafir means, don't we? It's the N-word. Every time they talk about us in their mosques or in their schools, in their madrasas, their religious schools, they call us kuffar, because in their ideology, even though they still won't use toilet paper and they wipe their backside with their left forefinger because the Prophet did, they describe themselves in their writings as, quote, the best of people, quote, the best in humanity, quote, the rightful masters of the earth. Seriously, this is written in like 750 AD. I mean, this guy had made up his visions at 627 AD, but their books and writings weren't written till well after he died, because he was an illiterate, middle-aged paedophile who actually did kill people. In their book, in their holy book, which I won't mention, it really does say that their prophet slit the first few throats, chopped the first few heads off to show his followers not to feel guilty. So I'll put a link underneath. Make a copy of this or do a video yourselves. But it's not just Newcastle. It's Edinburgh. It's Cardiff. It's, you can imagine, with London being 55% ethnic now. This is why we get this white flight from London and from Birmingham, because it's no longer safe to let your kids out anymore. These supremacist tow rags pull up in cars, BMWs, Audis on HP, and drag them in or encourage them to go in. And once they're in, they use threats of violence. There's been cases where they've poured gasoline on girls to make them do their filthy things so they can rape every orifice. There's been cases where they've held razor blades at the throats. There's been cases where white English, schoolgirls have actually disappeared. We don't know. The police won't say how many. Like here, they cover it up. But there's certainly been several girls that have never been seen again. Lancashire police have said they believe there's lots and lots of girls, because as soon as the girls realise they've been used, they've lost their virginity, they're probably depressed, they're having mental health issues due to being used by dozens of men. And what do we do? Well, why did you touch me? I'm underage. I might go to the police. Well, you can imagine what could happen then, couldn't you? Oh, go to the police, will you? Oh, yeah. You can imagine what could happen. I know I call it, guys, but they are doing it all over the country, just as Tommy Robinson has said. I've been posting Tommy Robinson stuff for 10 years. As you can imagine, there's so many Antifa, so many of these far-left Labour Party NHS and teachers who don't know anything about this ideology but think everybody's picking on them. Well, we're not, because this ideology genuinely, according to historians, has already murdered about 250 million people. And who do you think ran the slave trade for 1400 years? Yep, certainly the British were involved at the end, but it was all that Scott guy Livingston, Dr. Livingston, I presume. Yeah, he read about it. He come across hundreds and hundreds of poor slaves, mainly Africans, who couldn't keep up, so they used to just kill them in the bush, kill them in the jungle, so that, to make sure they weren't faking it. Okay. See you guys. Bye bye.